Hey guys. Oh my god. Hey guys. It's been a long time. You're listening to Is This Thing On? It is your host, your awful host, your unpredictable host, Eva, Ivanovna, Lynette, the Russian, whatever you want to call me, or the laziest podcast host on the planet because, guys, I have been AWOL purposely and unpurposely. I don't know if that's a word. I'm sorry, I should probably know these things because I'm a teacher. But I'm sorry, guys. I have been absent from this podcast and I have neglected it for about 3 months. The last episode I posted was back in July. We are now in October. So 3 months have gone by. How are y'all doing? We have lots to talk about. So if I were you, if you still care about this podcast, all 14 or 20 or 0 of you, or I don't know, maybe I have a devoted fan base in the middle of Iceland that I don't even know about. Uh, Either way, if you care about this podcast, buckle up, sit down. I'm going to take you guys for a ride, kind of catch you up on the last 3 months of my life. This is well worth the life update. If you hear a lot of noise, a lot of like construction noise and whatnot, my stupid self decided it was a good idea to record outside, inside of my car with the windows rolled down because my house was just too noisy. I could have recorded in my room, but my sister was in there doing some stuff, and there's a lot of background noise, and I think I'd rather have the sound of birds and construction rather than my sister's voice. So, anyways, if you're still here, thank you for the ones that are still here. Guys, I am back, and hopefully I'm going to be posting regularly now. And I know it's already well into the day. It's 2 o'clock, but I promise this episode will probably go up in an hour. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, guys, where do I freaking start, man? I have missed being on this podcast. I've missed recording. There were several instances, believe me, where I did want to come back, but the timing of it just did not feel right. Also, I just have so much work now, which is nothing to complain about because I'm very, very grateful to God that He has blessed me with such a great job and such a busy job. I am always busy these days, and I'm knee deep in lesson planning because I don't know if I mentioned this. Maybe life recap, maybe a little bit of a life update, if you will. I got a job as a teacher, as a co-teacher. I will not say where I work or whom I work for because I do not know if I have a stalker amongst this podcast. So for safety and legal reasons, I will not be disclosing where I work, and it's probably best that I don't. Just in the event that I have some crazy devoted fans out there. By the way, guys, I'm being very sarcastic about the crazy devoted fan parts. I know no one really cares about this podcast. I just make it because it's fun to record and sit down. And also the other reason, besides me not sitting down to record a podcast, which it doesn't take that much to record a podcast. It really doesn't. Just takes a computer or your phone and a mic, and that's literally it. That's the entire setup, at least for me. I don't have an editor. I don't have a producer. I don't have a podcasting company backing me up. It's all me, baby. I am a one-woman show, quite literally. And so the other reason I didn't want to come back just yet was because I was just waiting for something exciting in my life to happen so that I could, go on the internet and talk about it with my devoted fan base of 14 people. Or 16, because it says I have 2 unique new listeners. So whoever's out there listening to this, bonjour. Je m'appelle Eva. Je m'appelle Ivana Lynette Golinsky. My French is bad, so pardon my French. But yeah, excited to have those two unique listeners that have come aboard to listen to this. Someone just pulled into my driveway unexpectedly. I hope they are pulling out. Yes, they are pulling out now. Thank you, stranger, because you're on my property. Get off. Anyways, sorry guys. I didn't mean to be rude. That sounded very standoffish, but they were literally pulling into my house, and I don't know them, and I know my neighbors somewhat. So, anyways, that's sidetracked. Yes, I was waiting for something exciting in life to happen. So the life update is that I am now a teacher. I'm always lesson planning. I'm always thinking 2 weeks ahead. So if you ask me, hey, Eva, what are you doing tomorrow? It's like, I don't know. But if you ask me, what am I doing 2 weeks from now? I can probably give you an answer in the form of a lesson plan. Um, it's safe to say that work has become my life. It has consumed every inch of me. I actually have today off because of Indigenous Peoples Day or Columbus Day, whatever you want to call it. But I have today off, and so my podcast regularly goes up on Monday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, noon, so around people's lunch break. I did it for that in exact purpose because I knew that most people take their lunch break around noon. I don't, however. I have a very early lunch, but that is a different story, and I will not bring my work into my podcast because I may have former coworkers listening to this. So, if in the event that they are, hi, how are ya? And I may have my new coworkers also possibly listening to this. If you found this podcast by happenstance, hey, how are you? Awesome that you found it. Please don't hold anything against me. In the words of Britney Spears. Speaking of Britney, her freaking dad, Jamie Spears, who is a freaking monster, finally, after 13 years, dropped the conservatorship. I'm sorry, I'm butchering my English. Conservatorship. And she's free. Not entirely free. I think there's still some stuff she's having to work in and out with her lawyers, but Miss Spears, is free from her conservatorship, which is amazing for her because she, is one of the hardest working people in the industry. Yes, she's gone through a lot. Yes, Brittany, had an '07 moment, as many of us did. I think we all go through our '07 shaved head Britney Spears type of moment, but this woman deserves a freaking break. And we're happy and so happy that she's now getting to live the life she deserves. So hooray for Britney Spears fans. I'm happy for Brit. Um, Wish her nothing but the best because she's engaged now. So hopefully she has a nice marriage to her boyfriend, now fiance. Um, what else? That is your little nugget of pop culture news, because I have not been keeping up with it as much as I normally do. But that is your little insight into pop culture for today. Do not ask me to become a pop culture podcaster because I don't think I would be good at that. Anyways, in true podcast fashion, we are sipping on a coffee that I got for free because if you didn't know this, and Dunkin' should probably sponsor me for this, but if they don't, I don't know what Dunkin's doing. I go to Dunkin' too often, and I enjoy spending my money at Dunkin' Donuts, but it's nice to get free stuff. And today, if you're a Dunkin' Rewards member, you get a free coffee every Monday. Free medium-sized coffee. Iced or hot, whatever. I got it iced, and I can tell you exactly what I got because I'm still sipping on it. I got this coffee probably like 2 hours ago, but I put it in my fridge because I woke up this morning, not super early, probably like around 10, 9 o'clock. And I slept in because, I didn't have work today. And I decided to go grocery shopping with my sister. So we went grocery shopping. And on the way back, we got some Dunkin'. And I can tell you what I got. I got a medium iced original coffee with no dairy. That means like no milk. I normally, if I do get dairy, I normally will get it with almond or oat milk from Dunkin', but lately it's been oat. It's always been oat. So I get oat. I got it with 2 hazelnut swirl and 1 hazelnut shot. And it tastes delicious. And okay, guys. Sorry, I'm back. I got interrupted by my neighbor and then just a bunch of other things. Anyways, I was talking about my coffee. So yeah, we went and picked up a coffee. I got a medium iced original coffee from Dunkin' with 2 swirls of hazelnut and 1 hazelnut shot. It was really, really good. It actually tasted like coffee. It's so funny because when I started getting into coffees in like college, I used to get like the most sugary drinks ever. Like, I think my favorite and my go-to drink was a caramel macchiato with like extra caramel drizzle, and it was good, but it was so sugary. And my opinion now on coffee has changed drastically. I love a good old regular Americano with like oat milk, or I really just like a plain and simple coffee with like a hint of sweetness. If it's too sweet, I won't drink it because it's too much for me. But yeah, that coffee that I got has been like sitting for 2 hours. I already finished it. I added a little tiny drop of pumpkin spice creamer that we got at the grocery store. It was really, really, really good. Just added the right amount of sweetness, and I'm a basic girl. When it comes to fall time, I will get anything that's pumpkin spice. Don't ask me why. I just love it. Um, anyways, before all that, I had about 27 minutes of this podcast episode recorded, and then my microphone decided to spontaneously stop recording. I think it was unplugged the entire time. So that sucks. So I'm going to have to recap everything that I talked about in those last 27 minutes. Here we go. Buckle in. Hopefully this episode will be uploaded in an hour. I keep saying that, unless I keep getting interrupted. But let's sit down. Let's relax. Grab some popcorn. Grab some coffee. Just sit down. Let me take you on a journey of why I have been gone for the last 3 months, intentionally and unintentionally. So, the main reason being is that I now have a full-time job, life update, as a teacher, as a co-teacher. And I love it. It is a great job. It is very rewarding, but it is very, very demanding of my time and my efforts. And it's very hard to have a work and life balance because the two often intermingle. I'm always lesson planning these days. I'm always knee deep in lesson planning. So it is very hard for me to just sit still and kind of relax these days. I try to do it, but it's very, very hard. And so if you ask me what we're doing the next day in terms of plans, I'm like, I have no idea. But if you ask me 2 weeks in advance, I can tell you what we're doing in a lesson plan. Yeah, that's just kind of how my mind works nowadays. It's crazy that I'm a teacher, and again, I love my job. It's just very, very demanding, and it takes up a lot of my time, but it's very rewarding, and I get a lot of satisfaction doing it. And I think when you love what you do, it does not feel like a job. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like a pastime. It feels like something awesome. But yes, that has consumed my life for the last 2.5, almost 3 months. Also, just I honestly always say this in every single podcast episode every time I go MIA, but it didn't feel right to come back just yet because I was waiting for something really exciting in my life to happen before I could like sit down and talk about it with you guys, because I always want this podcast to feel like it's a conversation between two best friends. I never want it to feel super formal, super serious, super scripted, because I'm not any of that. I record spontaneously when I want to, and if I'm feeling creative and if I'm feeling like I want to speak in the moment, I will bust out the mic or I'll bust out my phone and I'll sit down and record an episode. And for me, the last 3 months, because I've been so busy with work is like the main reason I haven't sat down and recorded an episode. But also I wasn't feeling inspired. I wasn't feeling like anything really exciting was happening in my life or noteworthy about to talk about in my podcast. And I just didn't want to also force myself. And I know a lot of people that are in the creative space of podcasting and YouTubers and making YouTube videos and just influencers, and I'm not even going to try to put myself in the realm of any of those categories, because I'm not. I'm just someone that likes to talk and has a platform to do it. I just didn't want to force myself. I didn't want to force creativity. I didn't want to force myself to sit down and record an episode. I didn't want it to feel like a routine, because I already have a routine when it comes to my job, when it comes to my career, when it comes to working. So I don't want to feel like this podcast was just me adding something to my routine. I wanted it to feel different. I wanted it to feel like it was just a fun little space to come and pour my thoughts onto it. So that's one of the main reasons I haven't been back in like 3 months. Also, something exciting did happen, and that's why I wanted to sit down and finally record an episode, and it just didn't feel right until after the event happened. So I got to go to Las Vegas. I just came back from a trip to Vegas last Monday. It was so much fun. The trip was it started off as a joke, much like this podcast that I have. And my friends and I were kind of just talking about it. We would talk about it every now and then. And, at the time I wasn't sure if I was going to go, because I was waiting to make sure I had a good job, good disposable income that I could just, throw out there and go on a trip, because I wasn't going to spend money if I didn't have it. So I wanted to make sure everything was set, all the dots and T's were crossed, and I don't know if I'm using that expression correctly. I probably am not, but it's fine. I just wanted to make sure I was in a good point in my life where I could make a big financial decision like going on vacation. And so it finally happened. The timing was right. Everything fell into place. And we booked the trip. And I just came back from it a week ago. And I will recap what happened basically on that trip as much as I can, because I think when you take a really, really good trip, and anyone that's ever traveled or has ever done anything, I think you can say that sometimes you don't remember the trip because it was that good. So I can tell you with full certainty that this is my first time on an airplane, by the way. Had never been on an airplane before. Had never really been out of state before. And I wasn't nervous. I actually was not nervous. I wasn't nervous on the airplane. The only thing I absolutely hated, and I think most people can agree with me, it might be different for most people, but for me personally, I hate when the plane is descending down and we're about to land. I hate that part so much. My ears were popping so badly. My head was hurting. It was just bad. I just don't like that part. The taking off was fine. I think the number one thing I would recommend when you are going on an airplane, if you have never traveled before, is for sure have either earplugs or earphones in your ears, because your ears will pop like crazy if you don't have anything in there. Also, in addition to that, I recommend chewing some gum. Chewing some gum, it will help immensely, and having earplugs or earphones in will just help a lot. But that is, I think, common sense for most people that travel. What else? Maybe carry a sweater when you're in the airplane because it can get quite cold in there. I was wearing a sweatpants suit, a sweatsuit. I was wearing a sweatpants set. So I was very cozy and I wasn't cold and it was fine. But yes, I my flight was very late to begin with. I left on Friday, October 1st at my flight was like at 10:15 and then it got delayed by like 20 minutes, so it was like at 10:30. I got dropped off I got dropped off at the airport at like around 8:30, almost 9 o'clock. And I waited for a good while. I also waited for my friends to get there because we were all on the same flight, just different seats. And so by the time we finally left and we finally departed from the airport, it was probably like 11 something. And by the time we got to Las Vegas, it was 11. It was like 12 o'clock, like midnight over there. And back home, it was like 2 a.m. Because Vegas is 2 hours behind and Texas is 2 hours ahead. So the time difference wasn't super significant, but I did feel it because it was like my first time traveling. Um, so yeah, by the time we got there and we landed, you know, like we were a little tired, but we had reservations to this really nice rooftop bar in Vegas. If you guys ever get a chance to go, it's in the Circle Hotel and it's called the Legacy Club. Very nice. It has a beautiful view of the entire Vegas Strip. We got there, we got all dressed up, showered, changed, and everything. I didn't get a chance to do my hair because we really did not have that much time by the time we got there. So I showered, I changed, did my makeup, put on my outfit, and then we headed to the bar where we had our reservations. And it was so nice. The drinks were great. The ambiance was great. And they did have a dress code. A lot of these places do have a dress code. So just make sure that when you do go to these places, you find out what the dress code is. Because my friends were dressed up, but they had forgotten to bring dress shoes. And so they weren't able to get in because they had sneakers on. Even though they had like a full on button down and everything, they weren't able to get in because of that. So I highly recommend that if you're going to go out to Vegas or just going to go out where it's a little bit more fancy, verify the dress code because you may not get in just because you're wearing sneakers or sandals or something else. They can be very strict on the dress code. So I recommend that. The other thing I recommend is just, I don't know, have fun. Have fun once you get there. Like it's hard to have fun sometimes when you just come back from the plane and you're a little jet lag or you're a little bit tired, but it's important to have fun. The bar was beautiful. I went out on the balcony of the bar that they have and I saw the entire Vegas Strip out at night. Keep in mind it was very late. At this hour. It was like back home. It was probably like 2 or 3, 4 in the morning, and in Vegas time it was like 1 or 2 a.m. And it was beautiful though. I saw everything. The weather was just immaculate. It was perfect. I didn't have a jacket on, so it was a little bit chilly. It was like 69 degrees, but it was so pretty. It was so beautiful. And I'm glad that for this trip, I really didn't document anything on my phone. I took 4 disposable cameras. I bought disposable cameras and I took them on the trip. I used 3 of them though. So all the pictures I took were on these cameras and I'm excited to get my film back and see the pictures. I mailed it out like a week ago. Shipped to California, so hopefully I will find out in a week what they look like. But yes, it was a lot of fun to just like be present and be in the moment and get your picture taken with a disposable camera. I highly recommend it. If you want to spend the extra money and get disposable cameras for your trip, I recommend it a ton. Or even if you have a film camera, just take it with you on the trip and just take a bunch of film. and document your trip that way. It's so much fun. You get to actually live in the moment, and also it's just great because you don't even know how the photo is going to turn out until you get it developed. So that's kind of the exciting part about it, is that you don't really know how you came out in the photo until you find out. So that was a lot of fun, that I got to document my trip in that way. I also just love photography, and I've been into film photography for the last 6 years. Um, I've been doing photography for like 7, 8 years, and film photography for like 6 years. And I'm very much an amateur. I kind of just taught myself through like YouTube videos and all that stuff. So nowhere near professional, nor would I start it as a like business. I just do it because it's fun. I love photography. I love photographing people, and yeah, it was just a fun time to do that. So that was night one. Uh, we got home after the rooftop bar. Actually, no, we went to McDonald's because I was hungry. I really had not eaten anything. So I got some French fries, and then by that time we were all very, very, very tired. It was very late in terms of the time back home, and so we just went to our hotel and we went to sleep. And it was fun. It was great. And the next day we woke up, and we ended up going to McDonald's again for breakfast. We woke up, got breakfast, and we headed to this like pool party club thing, which was also at the Circa Hotel, I believe. I don't know what the name of the club was. Club pool party thing majig was, but it was a lot of fun. Highly recommended. It was like $40 to get in, but they have these ginormous screens where you can watch like the football games that are happening and all that stuff. So we got to see all that. That was happening. I did get a little sunburn, but it was nothing to worry about. Sorry guys, the microphone I'm recording on keeps unplugging, and it is very, very, very annoying. Anyways, it's a great pizza joint. I highly recommend it if you're ever in Vegas. It's called Evil Pies or Evil Knievel's. I will link it below. It's not spelled the same way you pronounce it. So, great place. Awesome pizza. Awesome vegan pizza. Yeah, just be warned, the slices are very big. Anyways, so after we ate, we kind of just walked around and went back to the hotel. And later that night, we actually had dinner reservations at this really fancy place called Cut by Wolfgang Puck. And I believe it was inside the Venetian, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere inside the Venetian. If you're ever in Vegas, just Google it. It's called Cut by Wolfgang Puck. It is a fancy place. It's a fancy restaurant. So there is a dress code. A lot of these places that we went to did have a dress code. So I would just recommend, if you're ever on vacation, and you're going somewhere where you have to make a reservation, chances are there's going to be a dress code. So I would highly just recommend looking up the dress code beforehand, because that way you don't feel the embarrassment of going in. You may be dressed up, button down, slacks, and everything, but you could literally not end up getting in just because you're wearing sneakers. And that happened to like a few of my friends. So just be warned. Make sure you go dressed up. It is always better to be overdressed than underdressed. So anyways, yes, we had dinner reservations for this place. We did have to wait like 10 or 15 minutes, but it wasn't bad at all. Then we got sitting down. It was all 6 of us. I had ordered I think it was angel hair pasta with like crab and like sea urchin. It was really, really, really good. This place was very pricey. Everybody's like orders basically were like $100 each. Our bill was very expensive. Like by the time we got the bill, because they had put all of our bills together, it came out to a little over $700. Pretty expensive place, but I would say it was worth it. We got we got our entrees, and then we got, dessert. And I didn't get a cocktail at this place because it was just so expensive. I did get a mocktail. That was like $10. Um, but it was a great place. I think we really paid more for the ambiance rather than the food. The food was well worth it. I think it was really, really good. But do I think it was worth that much money? No. Respectfully, no. But I think overall it was a great place, and we had a really great time at dinner. So that happened. We got dressed up for that. I was excited for that because I really loved my outfit for dinner. This black velvet dress that I wore. I took a ton of pictures for this trip. I just want to. I was really, really proud of myself because I actually did not document a lot of it on my phone because the phone that I currently have right now takes really crappy, horrible pictures and videos. It's not the best quality. Um, so I actually ended up purchasing before we went on this trip. I bought disposable cameras. I bought like four of them, and I ended up actually using three of them up, which was awesome. It was great. So I took a ton of pictures on the disposable cameras, and I actually just mailed out my rolls of film and all that last week. So hopefully in a week from now, because I mailed them out to California. There's a place in California called the Dark Room that I've been using for a few years now, and they do great work. They develop really great pictures and everything, and they're not too expensive. So I highly recommend if you're gonna, you know, ship out your film anywhere, the Dark Room is the way to go. It's not sponsored or anything. I just love using them for film photography because look, we sadly do not have a dark room down here where I live. It'd be great if we did. I know Walmart, CVS, and I think Costco still develops film, but it takes like 2 weeks and it's very expensive. And it's surprisingly not that expensive to develop it with the company that I use. I mean, it does take a few days because it ships from Texas to California, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I've been using them for several years and they're a great company. Um, Anyways, so yes, it was so much fun that I got to use film on this trip because I really, really got to be in the moment. And I think when you're traveling, it's just nice to be off your phone, off the grid for a few days and just like not post about your trip. I think it's better to post about your trip once you get back from it. Like if you really can't help it, I guess take one picture or two and then post it on Instagram if you want. I only posted like 4 pictures from that trip that are on my Instagram. Because I was just so caught up in the trip and I just really wanted to be present and in the moment. I'm not saying you can't be present in the moment if you have your phone out, but it's a lot harder to do that. So I just recommend, I mean, if you're going on vacation, just don't use your phone that much. Just it'll be there. Instagram will be there when you come back. Just relax. Take a film camera with you. It's a lot better than being on your phone. You get to really, really enjoy it. And like just the nice thing about shooting film photography is that you don't know how it's going to turn out until you get it developed. And that's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. There's an element of surprise there, and I've always liked that. And honestly, in my humble opinion, I am not a professional photographer. I'm very much still an amateur, even though I've been doing photography about 7 years, 8 years, film photography for about 6. I kind of taught myself film photography. But the picture quality is just so much better on film photography. I can't explain it, but I prefer it over to digital photography. I think digital photography is great because it is very convenient. You could literally, you know, take photos with your phone, and that's the great thing. Most people nowadays just use their phone to take pictures. Like that's literally what we shoot pictures and video on all the time. And it's convenient and it's great. But if you have the chance, I recommend film 1,000 times more. It's just there's something also very nostalgic about it. It's great. It's great. You can still build memories. You just don't know how they're going to turn out until you get it developed. And that's fun and exciting. At least for me, it is. For some people, they might think it's too expensive or too inconvenient. For me, I love it. So, anyways, So after dinner, we went back to our hotel. We kind of like relaxed a little bit. We walked around, and then we decided to go to this piano bar. I think it was called Harrah's, and I think it was within the same hotel. It might have been like a little bit right outside of our hotel. We went there for like a few minutes, and then we walked around after that, and then we went back to our hotel, and then we went to sleep. But let me just tell you, on this trip, I had a really, 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 really bad anxiety attack. It was pretty bad. I was crying a lot. My heartbeat was racing, and it was just really, really bad. And I had never really had anxiety before. Even though I am an anxious person, I had never really had an anxiety attack like this ever before. And so, to be away from home, to be on this trip, and it's not like I was alone, but it very much felt like my world was closing in. And to the people that experience this on a daily basis or just all the time, my heart goes out to you, because it's truly terrifying to have to go through it. And it's not easy. I cried a lot on this trip. I really wanted to just go home. And there was parts of me where I was like, maybe I should get on the next flight home because I can't take it. And I'm not blaming my friends for this. I guess they just really didn't know how to help me. But I got ignored for a little bit on this trip. I didn't know what to do. And I just had to sit there and cry it out and cry it out. And my heart was racing so much. And I was kind of in a little depressive episode kind of moment. And I just kind of had to sit there and go through it. And there was a time where I told my friends, I'm like, okay, I have to be alone. But I went back to the hotel room and I was alone for maybe like 20 minutes. And then after that, I couldn't do it. And my advice to people that get anxiety or panic attacks, um, some people can be alone in this and others cannot. And I think a good majority of us cannot be alone when this is happening. If you have to be alone, maybe be alone for like 5 minutes or less than that, or however long you need. But don't be alone for too long, because it's very dangerous to be just alone with your thoughts and your heart racing. And then, the best thing you can do in those moments is just breathe and do some breathing exercises and just sit there and kind of go through it, because you kind of just have to sit there and really face it and go through it. And I really, really couldn't do it after 20 minutes. I was just struggling. I was very, very much struggling. I wanted to go home. It was terrible. I cried a lot, especially Sunday night. Sunday night was probably the worst. I was, I can actually say this. I was crying in a casino. Did I look good that day? Yes. I was dressed up. I had my makeup done. I wore a great outfit, but I was not having a good time in the casino. I did not cry in a club. I cried in a casino. Um, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, my friends really couldn't help me that day. And I felt like I was super alone in that, because like they weren't really paying attention to me, but it wasn't their fault. I mean, by this time, two of my friends had already left from the trip. My friend Brianna and my friend Jacob had left. And so I was left with my other three friends, and they didn't really know what to do, which I don't blame them again, but it just felt very lonely. And I felt like I really couldn't do much. And it sucked because I kind of just had to sit there and go through it. And I mean, what can I say? It was tough. It was a very tough thing to go through. But I toughed it out, and then we left on Monday. We left on Monday at 4-ish. Our flight was like at 4:15. And what kind of sucked about that was that normally your boarding pass is on your phone on the app of the airline that you flew with. For some reason, my boarding pass was not loading on my phone. So I had to check in person at the airport, and then I had to pay an extra $5 for my boarding pass because for some reason it wasn't showing up, and that was really really annoying. Um, Luckily, I didn't have to check in any of my bags, but let me just tell you, by the end of this trip, because I didn't take a suitcase with me, I took a duffel bag because it was only going to be a 4-day trip, but I packed so many things, so many outfits that I had to buy a tote bag at one of the gift shops because I kind of went a little bit crazy at one of the gift shops and I bought like a bunch of memorabilia. Um, and I had to buy a little tote bag because a lot of the stuff that was in my duffel bag was not even fitting in there anymore. It was so heavy. I think for the next trip I go on, I will definitely bring a suitcase and a bigger carry on. And pro tip, not all airlines will tell you this, but the airline that I flew with was kind enough to tell me this. If you have a little personal bag or a little carry-on, make sure your purses do count as carry-ons, as extra bags, and they will charge you an extra $50. So just make sure you put your little purse or your little crossover, whatever you have on you, put it inside your tote bag or your carry-on. That way they don't charge you for an extra carry-on, extra $50. So they were like nice enough to tell us that, and so I didn't end up getting charged extra or anything like that. So that was great. But yeah, I had a lot of stuff that I was carrying on this trip. So for next time, I will buy an actual luggage and make sure I pack accordingly. What else? Yeah, so our flight was at 4, like 4:15. We all had the same flight, but we all had different seats again. And so my friends were like at the very back of the plane. I was at the very front of the plane. For both flights, I was on the very front of the plane. Um, what else? We left around like 4:30. I want to say almost 5 o'clock, and then we got back to Texas at like 9:06. We were supposed to get there like right at 9:16, but we actually got there 10 minutes before arrival time. So that was great. We had 10 minutes. It was nice of the airline. um, the only thing I will say is that I think I've already mentioned this, but if I haven't, please, 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 if you're going to go on an airplane, make sure you bring earplugs or wear earphones and just have something inside your ears because your ears will pop so much. I was not nervous to be on the plane. I did not mind the taking off. The part that I absolutely hated was the descending part, when you're descending onto the ground, when you're about to land to your destination. That is the part that I absolutely hated with a passion. Luckily, I did have my earphones in and I had some gum. So if I had to recommend any travel essentials for the plane besides your luggage and all that stuff that you're supposed to carry with you, have some earplugs or earphones and be listening to music, and have some gum to chew on because your ears will pop like crazy and you'll get headaches. So have that already. Maybe take an Advil if you have to. But other than that, I had a really really good experience flying. It was not bad. It was not terrible. I thought it was going to be like bad, but no, I did not have travel anxiety. I had anxiety being in a new place, and I think that's what triggered it when I was over there. But it was just it was definitely a learning experience. You know, my first time traveling on an airplane and being out of state and being in a new place. I'm glad I didn't do it alone. I'm glad I went with friends, and it was a lot of fun. Shout out to Bree, shout out to Jacob, JJ, Autumn, and Javi, who all went on this trip with me. I love you all. I would do it again in a heartbeat. My friends were great, and I hope we can plan the next trip together because that would be a lot of fun. I'm excited to go traveling again, honestly. I think I caught the travel bug. I know, Eva, you only gone on one trip, yes. But I'm excited, and I kind of want to go on another trip again. Probably won't do it until December. I wanted to do one during November, but I think it might be a little too soon to do one in November for Thanksgiving. But who knows? I don't know. You know, it'd be fun to plan another trip. for sure, I think I want to take one before the year ends. So I'm excited for what the future holds. I'm just really, really excited for everything. Like, this was a time of so many firsts for me. And I just want to say I'm really, really grateful to God for all the opportunities He's given me and all the opportunities that have also just not come into fruition yet, because I know His plans and His timing is absolutely perfect. And I was just very, very grateful and surprised that I was able to go on this trip, because I never really traveled before. And for some people, this is like nothing, but for me, it was a big deal. I wish I had vlogged the trip, but I also am kind of grateful I didn't, because I actually got to enjoy it. Like I said, I took film cameras and that was great. And I'll probably get the film back in a week and see how it turned out. But it was a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it. If you can travel with friends, don't travel by yourself. I mean, if you must, I guess you can travel by yourself. I guess that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I have nothing against it, but it's also just a lot of fun to travel with friends or with like family members. So, yeah, that's I guess that's kind of all that I wanted to talk about on this trip that I did. That was my Vegas recap. I will post pictures on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, go follow my Instagram. I will link it below. I'll also link the restaurant that I had the amazing pizza at below if I can find it. Uh, what else? The other reason, guys, that I have been MIA, and I probably have already talked about this sporadically in and out throughout the podcast. If I haven't, well, I'm talking about it again now. The other reason that I haven't been on here is because I have been focusing a lot on my songwriting and music and writing my album. And let me just tell you, I have written like 3 or 4 more new songs, which I'm so excited to put out. I'm so excited for you guys to hear them. I'm a perfectionist, so I don't know when exactly my music will go live, will go up. But the moment I can get my song mixed and figure all that stuff out, because I am doing it myself. I have not gone to a professional studio. The moment I can like fix the song up and tweak it more and all that stuff, I will let you guys know, and I'll premiere it on one of these podcast episodes, so you guys can be the first ones to hear it, and then eventually I'll put it out on Spotify and on YouTube and all that jazz. But yes, I'm so excited to release music. I keep saying this because I had told myself that I was going to put out a song before summer ended. Clearly it's not summer anymore, it is fall. But hold me to this, guys. I am going to try to put out at least one song before the year ends, and if I don't, hold me to it. But I would really like to release one song by the end of the year. Hopefully just one, maybe 2, if I could ever get myself to get out of my perfectionist bubble. But yes, I took a backseat from this podcast because I have been writing and writing and writing, songwriting like crazy, like never before. I've been very inspired by a lot of personal stuff, and also I just like to write also from an outsider perspective too. But a lot of the songs from this album, I can tell you with a full certainty, a lot of them are based on my life and my experiences, but a lot of them are also based on what if scenarios and outsider scenarios. I like to kind of take myself out of the lens that I'm in, and envision stuff that would happen to other people. So I write from both scenarios, if you were wondering how my writing process goes. I do have a podcast episode on my songwriting process if you ever want to go listen to it. It is a few episodes back. I did it last year. Go listen to it. It's just called Songwriting. It's in there. It's in the list of all the episodes I've done, but it's called Songwriting. If you ever were curious about my songwriting process, it's there. But yeah, that is everything I've done. I've been busy with work. I just came back from a trip, and I've been pouring myself into songwriting, and I can say that this album is not done for a fact. I will say it's not done, but I have about 15 songs, I think, in my I have about 15 songs that I've written that I'm really proud of, that I'm still working on, and I just can't wait to put out an album someday. I'm just going to say that. I don't know when, I don't know if, but I'm excited to put it out. I'm excited to share my art with you guys. I'm excited to put it out. The genre, I kind of play around with the different genres in this album. Um, I'm very much influenced by a lot of soul music, a lot of soul artists, but there's also other elements of it too, that I don't want to speak too much on because I don't even know what the sound is going to come out sounding like. It's just a medley of different genres that I listen to. I don't think you need to necessarily define a sound when you are making music. I don't think it's important. I think what is important is that you enjoy making the art. You enjoy making the music and you genuinely do it because it's something that makes you happy and it's something that people can relate to and it's something that you believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in your own body of work, I don't think other people will enjoy it or believe in it also. So that is my philosophy towards making music and making art. And I'm so excited. I'm already excited for what the new year has to bring, even though we're still in. As I was saying, guys, as always, I will not put out a body of work until I fully believe in it. So that's just my philosophy when it comes to making music, when it comes to making art. I need to believe in it first before I put it out into the world. I don't know why I'm that way, but I am that way. So hopefully I'm excited for the new year, for what the new year will bring, and hopefully I can put something out before this year ends. If I don't, please hold me to it. I want to put out something before this year ends. It would be nice to do that. Um yeah, it would be super nice to do that. Because I've been saying that I want to put something out into the world, maybe like one or two songs at least, put something out. That would be nice. You guys can finally hear what I'm working on and hopefully vibe with it and like it and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm excited for all that. Um, as always, I want to just say thank you for rocking with me. Thank you for still listening to this podcast. However many listeners I have and people that listen to it or care to listen to it, thank you so much. It means the world to me. Um, I just do this because I enjoy doing it. And it's fun. I want it to always feel like it's a conversation between two best friends. Um, I never want it to feel serious. I never want it to feel like it's scripted. I never want it to feel like it's inauthentic to who I am. And I hopefully pray and hope that it is something that you guys can listen to that'll help you take your mind off whatever it is you're going through that day that's causing you to stress out. I hope this is somewhere where you can relax and giggle a little bit and just distract yourself for a little bit. Um, yeah, I just wanted to feel very playful and nonchalant and feel like we are just vibing. Um, as always, guys, I have a podcast number that you can call if you want to be featured on the podcast, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, if you have any suggestions, comments, concerns. I have a podcast number that you can call, and that number is 956-278-0720. Once again, 956-278-0720. One more time for the people in the back. 956-278-0720. You can call, you can leave your concerns, you can leave a voicemail, it can be anonymous if you want. I also have a voice memo link that I will link down below that you can also record a voice message there. You would prefer that instead of calling the number. And we can also make that anonymous as well. If you have any suggestions, you want to just be featured, shout it on the podcast, let me know, because that is what we use. Also, if you want to leave stuff too, I have the podcast email that I will put down below in the podcast show notes, the podcast description of this podcast episode. I will link that below as always. I will link below also the restaurant that I went to that had this amazing pizza in Vegas. I'll try to put their Instagram below. I will also link down the podcast Instagram below so you can keep up on the updates of this podcast. Any updates that I post will be on that podcast Instagram. They will also be on my personal Instagram that I will link below. It is public. You can go follow me if you want to follow me. Yeah, everything that you ever need to know about this podcast will be on those two platforms. Um, as far as everything else, guys, I hope y'all are having a beautiful, wonderful morning, day, or night, whatever time of the day you are listening to this. I hope you're having a great fall season. Fall is my favorite season. I love fall so much. Um, cannot wait for winter. Cannot wait to plan my next trip. I'm excited for that. I'm just excited for life. I have ups and downs when it comes to my mental health, but God sustains me. God is good, and I know that everything that is happening is for His purpose and glory. So I'm just entrusting in that. And so I hope you guys are doing well. I love you all very much. Thank you for listening to this podcast. As always, go forth, prosper, and God bless. See you on the next one. Bye, guys.